Next time you meet me in Gate City, check out Soul Sisters.
Wait. Oh, Cody Pope. I know Cody Pope.
Our friend is Cody and we not having a good day.
Musician.
Yeah.
What's going on, everybody? How are we doing? Thank you guys for coming back to another episode of Cody Central. I got a fun one going down tonight. Thank you to everybody that is already in the chat. As always, let us know in the comments where you're watching from. Drop your city and state. My friggin' banner behind me keeps falling down, so I'm going to see if I can add some extra measures to hold it up in the meantime. We got a fun one going down tonight, so fill up that. Oh, look, we got a tack right there. That's probably going to be the trick. There we go. You're not coming down on me anymore. Fucking. Shout out to Jen. Jen's up in the chat already. Shout out to Jess coming in from Windsor. What up, Jess? The homies always tuned in. Appreciate you guys. So, got a really fun one tonight. But before we jump into all that, as always, I'm going to do my media of the week, talk some shit, and while we're doing that, let us know how it sounds in here. So, music of the week, I picked the album Rough Draft by J Dilla. Last week was J Dilla Day. For those of you that know or don't know, J Dilla is one of the most influential hip-hop producers of our time. He worked with the likes of Q-Tip, Busta Rhymes, The Far Side, so many incredible artists, and he was taken away from us far too early. So it's important every day and every year that we recognize J Dilla. And Rough Draft is one of his fun body of works. It's not as popular as Donuts or something like that, but it's him rapping, him on the beats, just like a really fast, short kind of thing to go through. And if you're a fan of us, you'll notice our little tribute is we have a track on the new album called Rough, which is spelled the same way as Rough Draft. And if you're a Dilla fan, you'll notice there's a bunch of Dilla references in there. So long live Dilla, and make sure you guys go listen to Rough Draft this week. I'm going to keep it light on that. But as always, when we're talking music, when you're done listening to J Dilla for the week, I would be super appreciative if you would check this out as well.
My lace is tight enough for...
Thank you, guys. So, music of the week. Rough Draft, J Dilla, available everywhere, but go find it on CD if you can. Movie of the week. This was a fun one I was looking forward to. So my movie of the week this week is Cowboy Bebop the movie from 2001, directed by Shinichiro Watanabe. So I own multiple copies of this movie. I've seen it dozens of times, but nothing compares to seeing it live in a theater. Recently, they held like a little under a week of screenings, and one of my good friends who will probably show up here in the chat later, you guys recognize Ryan. Ryan invited me to go watch the Japanese sub with him, and he had an extra ticket. So what a treat that was. Seeing it in this form was a stark reminder of how visually stunning the animation and the illustration is, especially for the time that it came out at. It's one of those films, in my opinion, that just continues to age really well. Even for people who may never have seen the show, which I implore you to check out, the movie does a brilliant job at setting the tone for the feature at whole, as well as defining the character personalities pretty clearly right off the rip. Fans of the show know that it's almost as notable for its soundtrack as everything else. So with one of the most iconic theme songs of maybe all time, the bar was set really high going into this one, and they seemingly cleared it with ease. From the very first song that plays in the opening credits, the music is just outstandingly suited for the experience you're about to embark on. I don't know if this is like a super bold thing to say, but this definitely goes down as one of the best animated features in my opinion. Obviously not the best, but it's definitely up there on my list of favorites. And so go and check out Cowboy Bebop the movie. You should be able to find it on DVD anywhere. And if you want to see my review on it, see some of the stuff I've been watching lately, check out me. Check out me. Follow me on Letterboxd, and you can read my reviews more in depth, see what movies I just checked out in theaters, see what movies I bought on physical, the whole nine. So here's a little more about Letterboxd real quick. Thank you guys. So my book of the week, I'm still reading Subliminal because I'm a slow ass reader. So not much to say, but I'm going to definitely give you guys some updates on that soon and just let you know how it's been so far. And maybe we'll talk about some of the stuff that I picked up from it as well. But still reading Subliminal by Leonard Malata now. Probably butchering that, but it's a great book so far. Anyways, onto our event listings. There's all sorts of awesome stuff coming up. As always, if you want me to cover your event, an email at codycentralshow@gmail.com. Send me a flyer, send me whatever info there is. And if it's something that I would see myself going to, then I'll probably plug it on the show. I try to plug as much cool stuff as I can. And with that said, here we go. Tomorrow night, February 11th, Graphic Melee, a good friend of mine from Portland, Maine. He's a hip-hop artist, producer, and hip-hop historian. He's going to be doing an interview on Hybrid Theory Radio, if you remember the guys from Hybrid Theory from a few episodes back. Graphic Melee will be on Hybrid Theory Radio tomorrow night, Tuesday, February 11th, from 9 p.m. to 11 p.m., and you can listen to that live on waveradioboston.com. Thursday, February 13th, Fleshwater is going to be playing at the Drake in Amherst, Massachusetts with Haywire. Fleshwater is this really cool heavy rock band from Boston, and they're going to be opening for the Deftones on tour this year. So this is going to be one of like the last shows that you could really catch them in a cool environment before they're playing tremendous friggin' venues. Saturday, February 15th, emo indie rock legends, the Get Up Kids, are celebrating the 25-year anniversary of Something to Write Home About. That's going to be at Aura in Portland, Maine. Also on Saturday, February 15th, Boston hardcore legends American Nightmare celebrate their 25th anniversary, along with No Warning and the Suicide File. That's going to be at the Monarch in Brooklyn, New York. Tuesday, February 16th, there's going to be a live model figure drawing session in Dover, New Hampshire at 1 Washington Mill, hosted by our guest tonight, SPIKEPIT Studios. So follow at SPIKEPIT Studios on Instagram for more information on how to participate in that. Wednesday, February 19th, Boston hardcore, one of their most active working bands, Haywire, is going to be playing at the River Grange in Concord, New Hampshire. That's going to be a wild show. It's Wednesday, February 19th. Friday, February 21st, legendary New York underground hip-hop artists Ill Bill and DJ Eclipse are going to be at Jewel in Manchester, New Hampshire. Saturday, February 22nd, Merrimack Valley metalcore hardcore legends In Remembrance are going to be playing at the Shaskeen in Manchester, New Hampshire. Wednesday, February 26th, previous two-time guest Andrew McGinnis is going to be having his feature debut at Bards on the Rocks in Manchester, New Hampshire. So he'll be doing a stand-up comedy set. There'll be some poetry, music, all sorts of stuff as well. February 27th, Canadian hardcore legends Comeback Kid celebrate the 20th anniversary of Wake the Dead at a live show at the Middle East Downstairs in Cambridge, Massachusetts. Friday, March 7th, 90s alternative rock sensation Everclear are making their way for a noteworthy performance at the Nashua Center for the Arts right here in Nashua, New Hampshire. Also on Friday, March 7th, Sam Morrill's The Errors Tours is going to be at the Music Hall in Portsmouth, New Hampshire. Sam Morrill's like one of my favorite stand-up comedians right now. He's also part of the We Might Be Drunk podcast with Mark Normand. So anytime somebody like that is coming to New Hampshire, I'm definitely trying to make sure I can show up and support. Sunday, March 9th, the Preservation Hall Jazz Band is going to also be at the Nashua Center for the Arts. They're a New Orleans jazz band that was founded in the early 1960s. Friday, March 14th, Cowboy Bebop, presented by the Bebop Bounty Big Band, is going to be at the Nashua Center for the Arts. So this is like a musical interpretation of the seminal 90s anime performed with a live big band group on stage. I have never seen anything like this before, but I'm ecstatic to check it out. Monday, March 19th, 1990s post-hardcore legends Quicksand are going to make an appearance at the Paradise Rock Club in Boston, Massachusetts. March 21st and 22nd, California punk hardcore new wave iconoclasts Ceremony are celebrating their 20th anniversary at the Bowery Ballroom in New York City for 2 nights. Saturday, March 22nd, Michelle Diacello is going to be at the Groton Hill Music Center. She's a Grammy-winning bass player, poet, and songwriter. She just recently did NPR Tiny Desk if you want to get a little taste of what she's going to be bringing to that show. April 8th, Conservative Military Image and Street Power are going to be at Gino's in Portland, Maine. Lots of skinhead hardcore and East Coast hardcore are going to be tearing it up at Gino's Rock Club. That's going to be a wild night. Friday, April 4th, Beth Gibbons of Portishead is going to be at the Orpheum Theater in Boston. The vocalist for trip-hop group Portishead is going to be playing songs from her new solo album. April 11th, Saturday, April 11th, Sabretooth Zombie is going to be live at Ralph's in Worcester, Mass, along with Colin of Arabia. That show, from what I understand, is pretty close to selling out. And I can't remember the last time Sabretooth Zombie was around, so definitely catch that if you can. Monday, April 12th, Cold Cave is going to be at the Brighton Music Hall in Allston, Massachusetts. Cold Cave is the solo project of American Nightmare vocalist and Heartworm Press founder Wesley Isold. It's often described as a collage of dark wave, noise, and synth pop. It's very influenced by Joy Division and New Order, if you're into that. Saturday, April 19th, Joe List is going to be at the Wilbur. Joe List is another stand-up comedian I've come to enjoy a lot over the last few years. You might have seen one of his many YouTube specials. He has a bunch of independent movie features that he's been doing now, as well as a ton of podcasts. And he'll be doing stand-up at the Wilbur that night. Coming to a close here, May 31st and June 1st is Tied Down Fest in Detroit, Michigan. One of the best hardcore fests that's going to be happening this year. You can see American Nightmare, Speed, Judge, The Wrong Side, Hope Conspiracy, Fiddlehead, Trial, Regional Justice Center, and a shit ton more bands. That is going down in Detroit. And lastly, Saturday, June 28th, Godspeed You Black Emperor is going to be at Roadrunner. The iconic Canadian post-rock group is making their return to Boston for a long overdue rescheduled performance. If you've never seen Godspeed, they're a huge instrumental music group. They do visual projection that coincides with the music. It's a super dark, ethereal experience. Really, really cool. But yeah, so with that said, lots of awesome shows coming up. As always, if you want to have your event featured in here, like I said, just shoot me an email. And if you want to know more about that, just check me right here. Hey, what's up, guys? Hey, shout out to Megan in the chat as well. Appreciate you tuning in tonight, Megan. Shout out to everybody that's here. Thank you to everybody, especially we got a lot of people from YouTube tonight, which is awesome. As I let you guys know, every week we're really trying to grow the YouTube following. So all your subscriptions, all your comments, all that shit really help us. YouTube has very specific benchmarks that you've got to meet in order to grow your channel and move on to the next stages. And so with your support, maybe we'll get there one day. With that said, the main feature of tonight, I'm really excited. So I had the pleasure of connecting with tonight's guest a number of years ago. His visual art style has had a profound impact throughout the New England music and arts community. Some of his notable works include numerous album covers for Boston hip-hop artists, including M-Dot, Still Gold, and many others. You can also find his work featured at spots like Hi-Fi Burritos, as well as his regular figure drawing seminars in Dover, New Hampshire. Please welcome to the program my good friend, Adam Gouveia, affectionately known to many as SPIKEPIT Studios.
Hey.
Hey, what's going on, man? Oh, let me just fix your audio real quick. That's my fault.
Really
Hold
good.
on, man.
Good intro.
Thank you. There we go. I think that's a little better.
It was really hard to hear somebody talk about Cowboy Bebop and not say anything.
I was hoping that was a good pick for you.
Yeah.
Hey guys, real quick, let us know if the audio sounds okay on here. Obviously, as you can tell, Adam is in the studio with me, so just want to make sure our mic feedback isn't getting too crazy on you guys. So I know there's some beautiful person or beautiful people in the chat that can let us know how it sounds before I start diving.
Just to piggyback on your Jay Dilla thing, you follow Jay Period?
Yes, the mixtape. Yeah, he does all the Black. He does the Black Dog mixtapes, right?
He does a lot with the Roots and stuff, but he just put on his Bandcamp a De La Soul Jay Dilla mashup. Name Your Price. You should check it out. It's only like 5 or 6 tracks. Ooh, good.
I'm all good.
Have you gone on his Bandcamp yet?
No,
because he's got like so much to discover.
Damn. See, the only thing I really know from him is the live mixtapes that he does with Black Dog.
Those are on there too. Yeah, I think a lot of them are Name Your Price because I'm not sure even the legality of some of the things that are on there.
Right.
It's their mashups. So, but tons of content, really good stuff too.
I love that.
Yeah.
So first things first, as you guys know, the chat is open for Q&A as long as we're live tonight. If you guys have any questions for our guest, drop them in the chat. We're going to pick the ones we like the most, throw them on the screen, and answer the questions for you. So, dude, obviously, thank you so much for making time to do this with me tonight. I know that you aren't typically one for interviews and talking a lot of shit, so I feel especially grateful to have the chance to pick your brain tonight.
Sure. Thank you for having me.
Absolutely, dude. Obviously, a lot of these people don't know you yet, so I like to kind of give them some insight on you as a person. Can you kind of let us know when you started exploring within your artistic medium? Was it something that you kind of found solace in during childhood, or was it something that you came upon later in life?
No, it's definitely an early on thing. Some of my earliest memories just drawing and as far back as I can remember, and just super interested in drawing from the get-go. Cartoons, video games, it all kind of snowballed. Movies, the interest just was very visual oriented from the very beginning. But posters, just everything about design, graphic design, it just all kind of started with cartoons and video games. I feel it was huge, just all encompassing the packages of the video games, the instruction booklets, everything was so physical back then, which we've lost a bit of now with everything gone digital for video games. But yeah, just, it felt like drawing every day pretty much when I was little, which kind of tapered off in adult times. But even when I don't draw every day, I'm usually thinking about what I would do if I was drawing, or just thinking about what the next thing I'm working on is, which I kind of count as like drawing, even when you're not. If you're just looking forward to something or thinking about the next thing on your list. But yeah, always drawing, and that was kind of just the way of life and the way to express and communicate, where I didn't feel like I could do that so good without it. Like if you took it away, it would be pretty difficult to convey or emote.
Do you remember some of the first stuff that you had like wanted to illustrate or tried illustrating?
I mean, I just remember like being super into like making up my own monsters and my own like imaginary like creatures, and also like Mega Man. We were drawing our own, like, what would your Mega Man boss? You know how like there's like 8 bosses, like a metal man, wood man, like making up your own Mega Man guys. I remember was big, and just being obsessed with like drawing Bart Simpson and like Ninja Turtles, and like just before, when I wasn't so good at coming up with my own stuff, just latching onto the things that I liked and drawing those like to death, basically. Helps, you know, to get to a point where you can envision your own stuff easier.
Yeah, that makes sense, because it's like I can't draw for shit, and so if I was to like think of putting myself in the illustrative process, I'm like, I would need some sort of reference,
Right.
Like,
Yeah.
especially as like a beginner illustrator or whatever.
Right.
So it's like, it's cool that some of the stuff that like influenced you back then is still also like artistically interesting now as well.
Yeah. While like Simpsons are still on. It's like,
I know, that really is like so crazy.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm sure you kind of go through ebbs and flows with different projects that you take on, but what are some of the most like memorable or the most enjoyable projects that you've taken part in so far?
I mean, the first ones that come to mind, maybe because you just said them out loud, but like the Still Gold Torch song was big for me, just because like I wanted to do that project with them, on top of it being, anything they do has a political bent to it, where it's like such an important thing to have that aspect in times like when that album was coming out, and same as now. So it's like being able to work with a group that you like their music, and also contribute to the visuals of like the meaning behind their, like accentuating the meaning behind their music with the visuals, is like a fun challenge. And so for that project, they kind of had their own ideas that they wanted me to bring to life, whereas the M-Dot, Ego and the Enemy stuff was also like a favorite project, because it was free reign to do whatever I wanted, and I gave him like some options on the first Ego and the Enemy, and he was like totally on board with like a concept that probably didn't really fit like a typical rap concept for visuals, and he was just totally on board with rolling with that, and so that turned into Ego 2, and then so Ego 2 was kind of like continuing that, some of the same motifs as the first one, but different, and so that was fun to keep doing that project too. Those two kind of stand out. They're also the two that I think I have on vinyl. So just I've done like a lot, like a decent amount of CDs for people, but I hadn't really seen my artwork on a vinyl, so that was special. They both came out like right around the same time. even though I worked on one like way before the other one, it just the way they worked out, they released around the same time. But yeah, so those two are pretty special because like I collect a little bit of vinyl, so it's cool to like have vinyl with your artwork on it, obviously.
Yeah, it's gotta be pretty
And they're
surreal.
like really good albums, so like that's pretty special too. But yeah, like I really there's something I like about every album that I've done for somebody because I wouldn't take it if it wasn't something special to me.
Yeah.
So pretty much any one of them, there's something about it that is special to me. But I just like you, physical media is like really like special to me. Like having a thing, whether it's a book or CD, like it's just means more.
Yeah.
When you hold it. So vinyl's like wow, because it's so much bigger.
I know, it really is like such a special like piece of art to have.
Yeah. Now it's just really cool to know that, and it's just cool to have friends that are even putting out vinyls, let alone that my artwork's on it. Like that's just cool. Like it's rare, and I'm glad vinyls are like coming back.
I feel that.
Because most see them at the merch table a little bit more than maybe for a while there. But I haven't done cassette tape yet, so maybe cassette tape at some point.
2025 goals.
Yeah.
Well, somebody, Jen in the chat said hi, Adam.
Hello.
So two things you just made me think of that I got to veer off of the questions. One thing, not really a question, but just something that I think is really cool is with the M-Dot stuff. I feel it's cool that he like gave you so much free range.
Yeah.
Because now, at least like somebody like me, I like put your visual aesthetic in pair with his like presentation. So like I think of the two things in symbiosis now from the different like album covers, single covers. Because you did like the Pete Rock joint that they did too, right?
He did some singles that we also did artwork for that sort of tied into Ego and the Enemy too.
Yeah, so it just feels like you very much like are in that same lineage as him in terms of like his music's identity very much like is due in part to your visual identity.
Yeah, it was cool that he was so willing to roll with everything because now it's like the visuals are like its own universe for Ego and the Enemy.
Yeah.
Like, so it doesn't feel dumb to me, but it feels like, you know, those are chapters.
Yeah, you can like expand on that world.
Yeah, and just cool that he was cool with doing something kind of out of left field. And like on the first Ego and the Enemy, we like it had M-Dot, the name of the album, but then on the second one, I was like, what if we just didn't put text on the cover and sort of like Howling Man?
Yeah.
I like when bands don't put who it is and what the album name is right on the front necessarily.
Yeah.
So it was cool to do that too because it just leaves more room for art if you're going for the full splash.
That was one of my favorites. One of the things and that like challenged me too, speaking of like Howling Man, because I had to figure out like how do I package this thing.
Yeah.
And so one of the things that we did, I wish I like still had one. They fucking sold so fast. But
Nice.
we made like infographic stickers for the front. So when they came in the plastic wrap, we just put the infographic on the front that was like Cody Pope, the Howling Man, art by Spike Pit, featuring these songs and producers, blah blah blah. Like, and it was cool because we had never done anything like that.
Yeah.
But it really got me thinking, like, damn, like we could do this a lot more. You know, it's like it's cool for people to just let the art kind of like do its thing. And that's what's nice about physical is like you really need to know, look on the side.
Right, because like you could put all your info on the front, and if it's not appealing, then it ends there.
Yeah.
But if you don't put it on the front, but it looks cool, then people will find out what it is by looking on the back or on the side or whatever. But yeah, that's cool putting a sticker on the cover of that because it's not a super busy cover. So you're probably not even covering anything.
Yeah, there's like negative space you can use perfectly.
Yeah. But that was a cool project too, because even though you kind of wanted to like go more minimal when we first started talking about it based off the doodle, and then once I like started shooting IDs at you, it just felt like a color illustration fit better, but still leaving it white, like having it not be surrounded by more art sort of still makes it minimal, even though it's like not quite as minimal as the doodle that we were shooting for.
It's such a good balance though, because it does so much to draw you in, but then you're also like hyper focused on that one thing.
Yeah.
And the details within that one thing.
Yeah. And shouts for you for being okay with a pink werewolf. Because some people might be like, can we change that?
Dude, you know how much positive feedback I've gotten on that album cover over the years? Nice. People love that, dude.
I'm extremely pleased.
Yeah, I feel really fortunate to have that in my catalog too. That was like the last like solo Cody Pope project that I've done thus far. So it's like, I mean, I'll probably do something again in the future, but to kind of like bookend that like solo chapter of my life, that's like such a great way to like, that album means so much to me too, with like the shit that I wrote, how many years it took to do it, coming off hiatus and all of that. So
super solid album, dude.
Thank you, man. That was really fun.
It's actually, I saw the moon looks kind of full tonight. I was nervous coming in here.
I know, as we should be. Shout out to Jill. See you in the chat. What's up, Jill? Shout out to everybody that's rocking with us here. Looks like we got a bunch of YouTubers on Facebook. Appreciate you guys being here. Let's see. Okay, so I got a couple questions here, but this could really steer where our conversation is going.
I'm gonna try to blank out my mind.
I'm gonna say, all right. I got one that I think will be lengthy, but
we could just talk about Cowboy Bebop.
That's what. Well, so that I'm gonna go to this one first because I know you're somewhat of an avid anime fan, as am I. And it really is so wild to look back and see how Japanese animation has had an impact on like the American culture through the years. Do you have any like favorite all-time anime or manga, whether it's like old or new, like any like top view or whatever, or just like special ones that you go back to?
Yeah, I mean, I do have like ones that I do rewatch every now and then, series I go back to or movies, but yeah, the ones that I've been watching lately for anime, I mean, I'm always watching like Princess Mononoke and Nausicaa, and those are pretty rewatchable to me. But there's other ones that are also really good and not quite as well known. But I got like a box set of a Japanese director that I can't remember his name right now. But one of them was like The Night is Young Walk On Girl or something. It's got like a long name, and I might not even be getting the name right. But the ones that I've seen lately, I feel like are more the Studio Ghibli ones, which is kind of a weak answer because like that's kind of like what everybody watches probably. Anya, have you seen that one?
Yeah, I didn't see. Was it The Boy and the Heron?
That's really good.
I haven't seen that. I wanted to catch it while it was in theaters, but I missed it. But I definitely want to catch that one.
Yeah, I saw that with the original Japanese and then with the English dub. And it's good both ways, like they usually are. That one, I get nitpicky with the Miyazaki movies because, like, sometimes I feel like the artistry advances every time unquestionably. Like the animation's like gonna like knock your socks off every time you see like the newest one.
Yeah.
But I'm always like, but is the story as good as like Spirited Away? That's like pretty hard to top, almost unfair. But like I'm always like comparing them, like, oh, which one's my favorite story or favorite characters versus. I mean, the animation is on that new one is like it's so good, incredible animation. But But yeah, I've been. I'm always watching animation. I'm not always necessarily like just anime, but I saw this one recently called Flow. I don't know if you've heard of that.
Oh.
It won a let's say Golden Globe. I don't know if it won an Oscar or not because I don't really follow, but it's not. I forget what country. Is it like Latvia or something? It's like bordering Russia, I think.
I think you're right. Yeah.
And so it's a small studio. It obviously fraction of the budget of what a Pixar would be, but it looks like just as beautiful in its own way. Like it's really up my alley of movie because it's just about animals and it's like a world without humans, and like the animals are going on an adventure and the animals don't talk and there's no singing and there's no musical. It's just like animals like in a post-apocalyptic flooded world. But the main character's a cat and they're just on a boat with other animals, like, and it's just a journey. And it's like the artistry, it's all CG, which also like I'm not like a fan of at all, but their CG, it was like the perfect way to tell the story they set out to tell, so it didn't bother me. And like it was just interesting to see because like I don't want to say it looked like a PS2 game cutscene because the animation wasn't as like fancy as a Pixar, but it was just interesting to see like when there's a cat, like you don't have to render like every single hair on the cat for it to look cool.
Yeah.
Like Pixar, like that's what they do. It's like you see 2 million hairs like reacting realistically to everything. It's like this movie didn't really do that, and it didn't matter. It was almost better for it.
Yeah.
Like there was like a painterly aspect to texture and things that I don't know. I just get so down on like the mainstream Hollywood, like DreamWorks, Pixar, Disney, the CG. It all looks the same. Like I don't know what it is about it exactly. Like it's getting better in some ways, and like sometimes they'll like Pixar still puts out a few things here and there that I was like, oh, that was really good. Like, did you see Luca?
No.
I think that was the one about the mermaids. And then there's another one that I liked that was fairly recent too. But yeah, sometimes they just like I see their premise. I'm just like, that's such a Pixar premise. I'm already like checked out.
Yeah.
Like I don't know what it is about like the formula to a kids movie.
It's like rinse, wash, repeat.
It's very by the numbers, and that Flow movie just struck me when I was at the theater because I was like worried for the cat. Like it's like not shooting for realism, but yet there were multiple times in the movie where I was like shook and worried for the danger like of the cat. I was like, is it gonna be okay? Like I was worried, and it was just a cartoon. And it wasn't even like a realistic looking one. It was just like
that's the best though when something makes you care about the characters.
Yeah.
And you can just kind of like lose attachment to reality for a bit. That's like that's the responsibility of a movie.
Yeah, that was pretty incredible. I saw another one around the same time, but that one just I can't think about anything else now. Like that was just the one that impressed me the most lately. Flow. Really good.
I'm glad you mentioned the Studio Ghibli stuff too, because I feel like people that don't watch anime or that have never like given anime a chance, that would be like a really great starting point.
I feel like they're the best gateway.
Yeah.
Yeah, because it's not even it's not tropey with the anime aspects. It's just it's more like Disney, like old Disney, where they're painting the backgrounds and there's just like every shot is like just a beautiful image if you paused it. Where now they're just making like Lilo and Stitch live action and like Lion King live action. It's like, no thanks.
So this kind of leads me to another question I had, which we kind of dabbled in. I know most of your work is either illustrated by hand or done on like iPad or whatever. But have you ever experimented in or wanted to experiment in doing like full animation kind of stuff?
Yeah, I've actually been wanting to like turn that corner for it's probably been like 5 years or something. It's just another aspect that would be cool to be able to do. Since I have all the equipment to do it and I have all the programs I need to do it, it's just a matter of doing it and finding the right project. And I've thumbnailed like probably like 5 different videos for songs that like either a friend's band and like I didn't even like tell them necessarily, but like I kind of keep my projects in folders at the studio when I know I'm not gonna like see it through from start to finish in one go, which is pretty like rare for a big project anyway. So like the way I backburner things is I get as much as I can down on something and then I put it in a folder and I label it and hopefully get back to it. So I've got some animation projects that I'd like to get into at some point. It's just more juggling, more projects at times. That feels like a crazy idea because like you can only do so much when you work 2 jobs, and then like besides the job you get to do all the people things you got to do for being a people, and it's like where am I going to find time to do those jobs, take care of everything I need to, plus the freelance I'm doing for the artwork stuff, plus my own projects, and it just becomes overwhelming at a point. And that's when like I sort of started to like tail off, like being productive at my own projects, which feels bad to like just keep backburnering your own stuff, but I do like doing the freelance that I do, and it helps me sort of launch myself in a direction of being productive. If I've got to do something for somebody else and they need it for this date, then it's not hard for me to focus on that as opposed to my own projects. They have no deadline, and that's kind of where it slips away, I think. But I'd love to try some animation stuff at some point. I'm just not quite sure when that will align. But yeah, like you were saying, I pretty much I try to draw everything by hand when I can or when it makes sense to, and then when I take it to the computer, I'm using a tablet, but it's like not the kind of tablet that the screen displays an image and you draw on it. It's just a Wacom tablet, and I look at my monitor and I just draw on the tablet while I look at the screen.
That's wild. Does that take like a different set of like muscle memory or a different like set of skills than when you're just like drawing on paper?
Yeah, it takes a little while to get used to because you're used to drawing and seeing what you're drawing at the same time, and you're drawing and not looking and looking at a different screen. So there's a learning curve there. And for a while, a friend of mine hit me up. They had a Cintiq tablet, which is the one that displays the screen, and it was like a big, nice one. And so jumping to that, where you are drawing and seeing the results as you draw it, was also a learning curve. Jumping from the thing that I had, but now I just went back to what I had before because that ended up breaking. But it was cool while it worked, and I'm used to the not looking at it thing anyway. But yeah, it works for me. Most people would probably just use an iPad or something because there's probably something free on that works just as well.
With Procreate or something like that. Let's see. Okay. So I got one more question before I start getting into the spicy stuff.
Spicy.
And chat, by the way. We're getting deep into this, so if you guys have questions, make sure you drop them in the comments, and we'll pull them up at the end of this. So I wanted to ask you, because it seems like kind of perhaps like a recent development over the last year or two. But how did you get involved in the live model figure drawing?
Yeah, so the figure drawing. Let's see. So we've been doing it for a year, like a little bit over a year now. So it must have been like a year and a half ago. Me and my friend Emma were looking for places we could go to do figure drawing where they had a live model. And there's one in Portland, and there's one in Manchester, and there's one like in Newburyport, I think. So they were all like almost an hour away from Dover. And we were making the drive and going to the Portland one, and it was really cool. And they run like a really good figure draw up there. And it was nice to go and see how they did it and get in our figure drawing up there. And then we just started realizing like how difficult it is to get out of work at 6 o'clock, get all your shit together, drive an hour, go up there, like hope to not be late so you get a good seat, and then figure draw for 2 hours, then come back to New Hampshire is a lot for working weekday people.
Yeah.
So my other friend Sean, who is a resident artist at Stu's Space, which is in the Rollinsford Mill, where they have a group of people all sharing an art space, was talking about doing a figure drawing there, and I've just been in there before, and there's just not like a big open space to do that, so I just suggested that he could use my art space that I'm renting in Dover, because there's just a wide open space in the middle. I mean, the studio has a really funky dimensional layout. There is like a middle area that could be used for pretty much anything. So I just thought it would suit that. So he had the model lists from when they were doing figure draw with Wrong Brain like in the past. So it's a collaborative effort with Sue Space and Wrong Brain, and we try to line up the models like each month. At first, we were just doing every other Tuesday, so twice a month, and then Christmas hit, and one of them landed on like Christmassy area, so we did a makeup date on a Sunday, and people turned up for a Sunday afternoon. So now we're doing every other Tuesday and every other Sunday. So it's just a way for Seacoast artists to hopefully not have to travel so far to do live figure drawing, and it's pay what you can, suggest a donation, and it's like super chill, and it's all skill levels, and it's a pretty cool young crowd, which is neat because the ones that I'd been to in Portland and Manchester look like they skewed like a little bit older. So it's nice to see like a young crowd looking to do that for their own artistic, journey. But yeah, it's been going good, and sometimes there's like a bigger turnout and sometimes there's not, but we always like make a little bit extra on the times we have a good turnout, and it rolls over to the next time for when we don't have such a good turnout, so the model always gets paid, and it's been good. It's like a super challenging exercise for like no matter what your artistic craft is. Like you could do pottery, or you could be a painter, or you could get something from challenging yourself to draw the human form is like the hardest thing you could probably do. So even if you not like you don't consider yourself an artist and you can't draw at all, like that's a good place to start too, because it's just there's so many aspects that you could try to practice in just one session. Like you could be looking for shapes, you could be just doing lines, you could do shading, perspective, and like there's just so much about it that so much to learn. Like even if you're feeling like you know quite a bit, like I feel like I know quite a bit, and I still like sometimes I just struggle for the whole 2 hours, like feeling like I'm not capturing what I'm seeing, and it's like it's just a humbling exercise, which is good because it's definitely a challenge. And sometimes you like end up with sketches that you really like, so it's kind of random, like it's weird in that way because it almost feels like if you were going to play like hoops, like an immense rec league, because you don't know what kind of day you're about to have. Like maybe your shot's on, maybe it's not. Like you can't really explain. Like I can't explain why my drawings didn't seem good for one session and then the next one I did. It's like, was I thinking about something? Was my mind elsewhere? Or like there's so much to it, but it's fun and it's open to anybody. And yeah, the Tuesday ones are 6 to 9, and the Sunday ones are noon to 3. But yeah, it's been going pretty good.
It's really cool. I dig that. It seems like such a unique challenge for artists of any medium, kind of like you were saying, where it's like, man, there's so many different skill sets that you can pull from that
Right.
that I like hadn't even thought of. You
Right.
know?
Like when I started, I was doing charcoal on big pads, and that was hard. And then I started like switching to like just markers and a smaller pad, and that was hard too. And then I tried like watercolors, so you can like bring whatever medium you want to work on, and that's like a whole nother challenging aspect of its own, is just figuring out a different medium that you're not accustomed to is also fun. But yeah, I've been dabbling.
I like that. Speaking of things we're not quite accustomed to yet, I think it's safe from every time I lean back and I got a frame on the camera, I keep being like, well,
Get you a rocker. You just like
right.
show up every once in a while.
We get this fucking Grizzly Adams hair right now too. That's all everybody's looking at.
Yeah, this is like the hats and beard show.
Yeah, literally. The white guys from New Hampshire program.
You gotta keep your chin warm.
So I think it's safe to say, from knowing you, that you have some pretty outward disdain towards the way AI is being implemented into the creative arts.
Right.
I certainly don't disagree with you,
Mm.
but I think you may have some like deeper understanding of how it's already being used and what its long-term effect may be.
Right.
Can you give us a little insight into your feelings on AI at this point?
Yeah. I mean, I would just say in general, like it bothers me, and like it's I see people the side of it where people are like it's a tool and it's just technology evolving, and it is all those things. But to me, because I'm a visual artist, the things that it is first and foremost is just cheating and stealing, pretty much, plus unnecessary adding to climate change. So it's like those 3 things all rolled into one. But it's just here. It's here to stay, and it's just gonna keep doing what it's doing. And all you can do, if you hate it like I do, is try to not think about it that much, I guess, because it's just so prevalent. Like I've been on the fence about like deleting my Instagram altogether, which I haven't yet, mainly because that's really the only way I've been posting the figure drawing information. So like when people have figure draw questions, they usually post it on Instagram, and so I'll like answer it. Or like if you have to cancel Sunday because it snowed, so like if I just deleted it, would just be leaving a lot of people in the dark about figure draw, which I didn't want to do. But yeah, every time I get on, so it's been good because I only get on Instagram to like either post something pertaining to figure draw, but when I was using it all the time, it's just like the AI is getting out of control, and it's like asking you like, oh, do you want to chat with like a AI like bot, and like just seeing AI art like just makes me want to barf in general. But I do like picking like I like to like look at that AI and just like laugh at it because it is funny. And but yeah, I just see people like venues and like businesses using it for flyers, using it for even logos, and it's just like I just can't get too wrapped up into it because I'll just go crazy. But it's like,
I do get such a kick out of your Instagram stories when you start highlighting the shitty parts of AI posters.
because it's just so lazy. Because like even if you were gonna go that route, it would only take a second to fix the one thing that's the dead giveaway, and they're not even doing like that. But it just bothers me, you know, to see AI artists where they're not really drawing anything. They're just typing a word, generating. So it's just very disheartening. I mean, I don't rely on the freelance to like get by, but it's just taking away from people who were trying to do those things as a human.
Yeah.
But it kind of just, I hate to say is what it is, but it kind of just is what it is. And trying to use it in a way, like even though I hate it and it bothers me, I try to get something positive out of it. And one way that I do that is I'm working on like a like I've got multiple comic book, graphic novel-y ideas at different phases, and one of them was like robot, sci-fi. What would cause the end of the world kind of thing, but it's not super developed. But so I wouldn't even really want to get into it too much to spoil what little kernels I do have. But the end of the world could revolve around AI art, in my opinion. Like, and that's being dramatic, but like I do kind of, I when I saw the Miyazaki clip of him, did you see when it was like Studio Ghibli, they were sitting around a table and like there was like two people trying to like tell him the benefits, and he was just not.
Yeah, he was just like, I don't want to do this.
Yeah,
like
he was just not into it, and he was just like, I forget like what like he was saying. It was so dramatic. He was like, oh, it's the end of the world. Like this is gonna be the end of us, and it's like, yeah, you might be right.
I know. You're not alone, dude. Even my friend Kevin in the chat posted a comment, and he said AI should only be used for medical advances and keep its dirty nose out of the arts.
Right. I do agree. Like there's so many things that it could be used for good, and it probably is being used for good in some ways for some things that are analytical or geographic or whatever. But that's not what I see when I get onto my social media. I just see bad flyers, six fingers.
Well, that kind of leads to my next question. Is there any point in the artistic process that AI could be valuable, or does it really just not belong right now? I've always said that we need to utilize AI how we want to see it implemented in society, or else it's going to be decided for us. Right. So my thoughts initially were that AI should be doing menial tasks or jobs that people typically don't want to do, or maybe they're too dangerous to employ people to do. Yeah. I've had brief bouts about wondering how AI could be used in like audio engineering or something like that. But every time I come back to it, it just seems like it ends up contributing a lack or like losing of personal touch that gives us the texture that we're looking for.
Like I'm sure it would have applications for that would be not necessarily a bad thing, but you could say the same thing about it being applied for visual arts as well. But it's just when you think about like, well, we were just fine before.
Yeah.
Then it kind of renders it like pointless in some ways. But to me, like as far as visual arts and seeing AI generated things as images, it wouldn't bother me if there was just a way for things to be labeled that they used it.
Yeah.
Because then I would not care. Like it's really the fake out and using it without saying what it is that bothers me.
Yeah, it's like just call it what it is. You
Right.
know, like if you're going to use AI, then say that you use AI and just separate yourselves from the rest. You
Yeah.
know? No, I totally feel that.
I do think like there's some things that it could be used for even visually that make a lot of sense. Like say you're like doing an album cover, it's super complicated, it's like super detailed, and then like you drop it on the template and you realize like you needed another like quarter of an inch all along the right side, like AI would fill that in, nobody would ever know, who cares?
Yeah.
But to me, like I'd rather just do it by hand. Like I'd rather just like, oh, I fucked up, like I have to fix it now. So I would just, even if I could cheat that way, I wouldn't want to.
You just made me think of, I think it's the generative fill tool in Photoshop.
Yeah.
Is that essentially like what that does?
Yeah, pretty much. That's like the text to graphic kind of thing.
Okay.
I think it's in that ballpark. But yeah, there's aspects to it for film too, where I was reading like for coverage, like you could use AI for coverage for when you're like say shooting a movie and you cut and you needed 5 more seconds or something.
Yeah.
Like they could use that to stretch out the time. But to me, that's just bad planning, and you could have.
Yeah. It's like all of these things are like to fix errors,
Right.
and sometimes the errors kind of make what it is that we're doing.
Right.
You know, it's because it's like I think about, you know, you said something about film, and so I just started bringing back Hellhound Film Club, which is my like movie nerd out podcast.
Nice.
And the episode I'm working on actually after this tonight is about the movie Breathless, which
Okay.
is like it's like one of the early like '60s French New Wave films. And so as I'm like studying it, one of the things that they like talk about is Godard wanted to do the whole movie on a handheld camera. And so in order to do that, they had to like basically splice together different types of photographic film because regular like motion picture film, the sprockets like didn't fit in the camera. So they had to like make their own kind of film to go and shoot these scenes.
Interesting.
And then in the editing process, there's all these like unintentional jump cuts. And they're all talking about like, well, that really wasn't how we shot it, but because of the way we filmed it, it just kind of happened like that. And it ended up becoming like the style that for the next few years, like French New Wave films tried to implement that.
Yeah, I haven't seen
and
that.
ironically, we kind of see it today in like YouTube culture.
Right.
If you watch like long form YouTube videos or even sometimes short form, it's all jump cuts.
Yeah,
or like just cutting out spaces and breaths and whatnot.
Right.
And I understand why we do it now, but it's like such a different implementation.
Yeah.
But it's funny to think that like it was an accidental thing that turned into something beautiful.
Right.
And it's like, well, isn't that how art kind of came to be? Like, you know, not to be like philosophical, but like somebody painted something at some point that most people thought looked like shit. But then like there was enough people that appreciated it to be like, no, there's something soulful in this. You know, there's like a deeper context.
Right.
So this could be short term or long term, whatever comes to mind. But do you have any short-term or long-term goals for your artistry for like SPIKEPIT Studios as a whole? I know it's not like the thing you depend on right now, but do you have like loftier ambitions with it, or are you like hoping to create something sustainable, or like what do you think about the future of what you're doing?
So at the moment, I've been doing like a decent amount of gig posters, which I like to do. So no matter what I do going forward, like I don't think I'd ever want to just stop doing like a thing like that on the side real quick. Like, oh, I need a poster for the show next month or something. Like I really like doing those. I'm doing one now for AMD, and I did 2 posters for AMD like before this one, and they're hustling all the time, so doing tons of shows. So I'm just a fan of like their music, and also obviously friends, and so I like to assist on those kinds of things. But yeah, moving forward for a more long-term goal, just like getting out some of those folders and actually like working on something that was a little bit bigger of a project that I never got past a certain point of development. So I've got sort of, I'd say I've got 2 projects that I could finish one of them this year, or I could finish 2 of them. I'm not sure, but one of them was I was making a skateboard magazine when I was first learning. I started learning how to skateboard like I feel like pre-pandemic like time, like not long before the pre-pandemic. So like I didn't learn till like I was pretty old, but so I was learning how to skateboard, and I was drawing skateboard stuff, and I went to Seattle and Portland for like 3 or 4 months, just my skateboard in a backpack and my sketchbooks and my graphic novels that I completed, because the idea was to go around to comic book shops on the West Coast and drop off what I had left of my graphic novels while I was checking out the area, and skateboarding a lot, and so I have these illustrations that are all skateboard related, and the idea was to make like a mock skateboard magazine with like ads and comics and graphics, and so that I would say is probably like 80% done, but it's been sitting there for years, and so I'm working on that. And then I had another project which I'd also like to finish this year, which I didn't have a name for before, but I finally had it. Like I didn't know what I was going to call it, and but I kept working on it, and that was an ode to the video game instruction booklet, which has become like an extinct thing now.
I remember you posted some pictures of work.
Yeah, so kind of like a mock skateboarding magazine. This would be like a mock instruction booklet, but it would sort of contain a lot of different video game related things. Like I was doing fan art for video games I was playing through the pandemic when everybody's like losing their minds because they couldn't go outside and stuck at home. So I was playing, like I haven't been playing games like I was then, but so it's drawings of the games I was playing plus drawings of games that I made up that I thought would be cool as a game, though I have no ability to like make that happen besides the conceptual. So it's like conceptual artwork for a game in my mind. And also I was taking my instruction booklets of my youth, because I don't throw anything away for paper, like really. So I kind of like hoard things like instruction booklets to old video games. So I was cutting up my old instruction booklets and collaging them with like my own illustration on top. So I would put those in that book as well. And also video game like comics. So it's kind of a mixture of a bunch of different like artworky things into like a video game themed booklet. But like when you open an instruction booklet video game thing, it's usually like table of contents, a diagram of like how the controller works, like maps of the environments. So all that kind of like crammed into like a scene pretty much. And I'd say that's probably like 80% done too. But the problem with that one was like I kept wanting to add to it, so it's still like a work in progress because I don't know when I'm going to stop. Because I just keep like I'll play like a new game. I'll be like, oh, this would be cool to draw that. So it just like keeps setting me back further and further. But then also like you were saying, dabbling with some animation would be a long-term goal, and just keeping the figure drawing going, and continuing to think of new ways to utilize the space in general, because even if I'm not always being super productive, like being locked in on like working on my projects and like working towards a graphic novel or whatever, there's still other things that studio could be completely unrelated to that, which I'm also interested in. Because my friend Brian, who started the studio to begin with, before it was a resident, before he broke it up into resident artist spaces, it was a retail store for streetwear apparel, and he also did custom painted.
Yeah, I remember that studio with the eye.
Yeah, you just called it studio, and so I've been looking at brainstorming a way to bring a store back to the studio as well, without losing any of the space that the artists are using the space, because there's still room for a little store section that wouldn't really interfere with what other people are using the space for, or the figure drawing. It'd be very like out of the way.
Yeah.
So just, and like not necessarily a store that needs to be filled with like all my stuff. I was looking at it more of like a local, other people's local zines, local comics. I thought it would be cool when I was working on the skateboarding magazine, which is called Cheapskate.
I love that.
I was thinking, oh, when I finish that, it would be cool to turn the studio into a mock skateboard store, like make it look like a retail skateboard store where it's like the release for the book is surrounded by like some custom painted skateboards and stickers, just like nothing crazy. But then when I started thinking about the store, like having a section of the studio be a store, it made me think maybe it should just be a skateboard store all the time, and it could still have local goods. It could have local, other people paint blank decks, and that could be cool. It's all still like just a thought in the mind still, because it needs like some construction to make it a store.
Yeah.
But I think it's reasonable goal to do that at some point this year. Just a small section, and not like that type of store where it's like, all right, we're open like Monday through Friday, like, all day. It would probably just be like 1 or 2 days.
Yeah.
Because nobody's gonna know we're there anyway. So
Exactly.
it would be very
a destination.
It would be a very it would just be a process for people to even realize that there was something like that there, because the mill that we're in is so big, and we're up on the 4th floor. People don't really wander around the 4th floor. They wander around the 1st floor a little bit, because there's like food and drinks and stuff. But
is that where they did the holiday bazaars?
no, I think that was probably Newmarket.
Okay.
But this mill is pretty much full up now. Like there's not a big function hall kind of area where you could do something like that, because it's pretty full. Like when I was first subletting a small part of the studio that I'm in now, the mill was so different because it was like half empty, no residential, just all commercial. Now it's pretty large sections are condos now.
Interesting.
So it's a mix of commercial and residential all in the same building. So as they were converting to condos, they were also just making everything nicer in the whole building. So we benefited, like the building looks a lot nicer now, the security is really tight now, it wasn't before. So there's good aspects to what it's become too. And so we're lucky that we were there before all that happened for sure. But now they're building a whole nother giant fortress section of town just across the bridge from the one Washington Mill. I don't know if you've been to Dover lately, but they like blew up a mountain and flattened it. And now it looks like a college campus. Like it's the size of a college campus, but it's just probably more condos with maybe like commercial mixed, like on the first, maybe it's got like first floor commercial, or I'm not really sure, but I saw the like mock-ups of the what it will look like when it's done, and it just looks like a super bland college campus. Yeah. But it's gonna be good, I guess, in the end for Dover, because it's not like it's not the type of housing that probably anybody that I know can afford, but it's more housing. Unfortunately, like expensive housing doesn't trickle down to make anything else cheaper.
Yeah,
but
that's what we're happening here too.
Yeah, but it's gonna expand downtown Dover. Do you know where Castaways is?
I think so. Yeah,
it's right on the water, so it's a big construction site. Is on the other side of the river from Castaways. Castaways pretty much looks across the river from it, but still a ways off from them having that finished. But pretty sad they had to blow up the skate park to build that. But you can't really complain because they built a brand new skate park that's like I don't know, multi-million skate park. Yeah. It's just not downtown, which is like the bummer.
They did the same thing here. We used to have the skate park right by the Hudson Bridge down here, and they tore it all down to build apartments. Yeah. And they rebuilt the skate park. I'm pointing as if people here could fucking see. But down the highway a little bit, over by like the high school and the police station and stuff. Yeah. They like rebuilt it over there. So it's like awesome that you guys rebuilt it, right. But it's like near a school and a police station and a kids' ice rink. It's like that's not really where it's not like conducive to a skate park full of like grown teenagers and grown people. Yeah. Like it's just not the environment. When it was downtown, it made perfect sense. You know, we used to have 2 or 3 skate parks all spread out through downtown. Yeah. Luckily, we still have one in the Tree Streets, which is cool on Ash Street. But
the one in Dover was really just in the most perfect spot that it could be in, but it was in too much of primo spot for what could be a condo fortress, I guess. But yeah, the new skate park is beautiful. It's just not walking distance, but it's maybe skate distance.
Right.
But
somebody said, don't forget the Philadelphia Eagles or Super Bowl champions. But you spelled Kendrick Lamar wrong.
That's a tough spell. I'm not sure I could spell it.
Because Kendrick Lamar was the Super Bowl champion. It's not up for debate.
Yeah. I did watch that, and I like Kendrick Lamar, but I'm not like so into him that I've like listened to whole projects for some reason. That's fair. But that was probably the best part of the Super Bowl because it's super boring and not exciting.
I know.
The sports part.
It's quite a one-sided game at that.
Yeah, and not good commercials anymore either.
I know. Nobody even tries.
It's like Bible commercial or like Army or Fox News. It's like the worst propaganda commercials. Yeah. Like Snoop Dogg and Tom Brady
or like
talking about anti-Semitism Nazism.
Kanye at the dentist office selling Nazi t-shirts.
Yeah, I have not been keeping up with my Kanye.
Well, you're not missing much. Somebody said Patrick Mahomes. Oh, okay, I get it. They said Patrick Mahomes isn't going to Disney World this year.
No.
I can understand that.
Yeah, how sad for him.
But yeah, unfortunately, you guys aren't talking to knowledgeable sports enthusiasts here. So
yeah, I really want to keep up with the Celtics.
Yeah.
I did want the Eagles to win just because I don't like the Chiefs.
yeah, I felt good back in the Eagles.
Yeah.
Because the Chiefs just seem like shitty people.
Right. I didn't care about either team, to be honest. But yeah, I was pulling for Eagles just because they barely ever win. So.
And it's like they were the only ones making it friggin' exciting.
Yeah. Yeah. Tom Brady doing commentary is certainly not exciting.
No.
I was just not impressed.
It's funny, dude. All I could focus on when they would show him on screen was his watch, because he had this like obnoxiously gold watch on, and it kept like reflecting off like the light or the camera in the room.
Yeah.
So he'd just be talking, there'd just be this like, and it was like, dude, like I get that you're rich.
Right.
Can we tone it down a bit? Like this
There's
jewelry
one
is,
person
like,
that doesn't have to floss. You'd think he would.
Yeah.
But he's got to.
it's like, dude, you got what, 5 Super Bowl rings or something like that? Like, do we need the 1,000-carat gold watch
Yeah.
too?
I didn't even notice that, but my friend pointed it out and looked up how much that watch would cost you, and it was like an ungodly amount, obviously. But I'm sure he didn't even have to pay. Like, somebody just gave it to him.
Kevin in the chat says he got a weird surgery on his face, and now Brady looks like handsome Squidward.
Yeah, he does have a handsome Squidward face.
Dude, Kevin, I'm glad you're still here in the chat, because I know I owe you a CD, and I just want you to know that I didn't forget. I literally have a note that says ship CD for Kevin, because Kevin was awesome and went to hellhoundpublishing.com and ordered Giant Steps in Gate City on CD.
Nice.
So I just wanted you to know I didn't forget about that, and thank you for being here tonight as well.
You know you're going to get to it because it's on a Post-it note.
Exactly. That's how you know it's real.
Yeah.
If it's on a Post-it. I'm going to we're performing these 2 shows. Somebody in the chat earlier asked about shows. So April 11th, you can catch us at Kodo in Lowell, and April 25th, you can catch us in Portland with Graphic Melee.
Nice.
Kevin, you're the best, bro. He said, hell yeah, bro. Take all the time you need to mail it. I know you're good for it. Trust me, and you can find me anytime you need me. But I'm going to pack that up before I get out of here tonight so I don't forget.
Nice. Yeah, congrats on that album, by the way.
Thank you, man.
I've had the chance to listen through it a few times now, and I gotta say it's probably the most effortless that you've sounded, writing so many different beats and just making it look easy.
Damn, thank you, man.
I'm kind of a beat guy still. Like, if I don't like the beats, like it's gonna be hard to attach to anything. But the spectrum of beats on that is really impressive. Like, he really nailed so many different. Like, it felt like he was pulling from like so many classic. Like, I feel Outcast on one track, and I'll feel like something else on another track. It was really cool.
Yeah, I love that.
And a good diversity, super varied, and yeah, it's a good listen, start to finish.
Thank you, man. I appreciate that. It was definitely one of those ones we wanted to challenge ourselves on. Kevin said, everyone buy Giant Steps in Gate City from Hellhound, or I will go Kendrick level pettiness on all of you. I love that. But yes, please, you can buy it at hellhoundpublishing.com. But I should also let people know, if you live near a bull moose, Giant Steps in Gate City is available at select bull moose locations as well. Plastow. Hold on. I'll give you the list. But a couple people have already grabbed them, so I thank you guys. We appreciate that immensely. This is actually our first record that has ended up in bull moose.
Nice.
Yeah, so that was pretty exciting. I wasn't sure like how it was going to go, or if they were going to be interested or whatnot, but they were super cool about it. Hell stores.
I go to the Newington one sometimes. Well, I don't know if that's
Oh, yeah.
Newington or Portsmouth, but
I think it is Portsmouth.
yeah.
But yeah, anyways, it's at a couple of Bull Moose locations. If you don't find it, ask them. They'll get it. More importantly, go to hellhoundpublishing.com and I will ship one out personally with some stickers and a thank you note. So thank you to everybody that supported the new album. One thing you made me think about earlier when we were talking about the skateboards.
Yeah.
I love that idea, but led me to my question of, do you have any plans for anything like prints or any other like physical media stuff? One thing that always like sticks in my mind when I think of you is the corn syrup, the capsule that you did. It was like, I know you did the t-shirt and you made like a mock bottle, right?
Yeah, so I printed the first run of corn syrup were t-shirts, and my friend Cole printed them for me, and his studio used to be down the hall from where my studio is, and so it was cool that he was putting on all those shirts on the same floor as the art studio. But so yeah, it started as t-shirts, and I just made a few 2-liter bottles for fun, where I just ripped off the like bootleg generic cola and put my own on, made my own labels and just glued them on. And I think I don't really table a lot for like vending so much, but because that was so long ago, I eventually sold the shirts because it wasn't a big run of them.
Yeah.
But then I fairly recently, it might be like 5 years ago, I've lost track, but I printed corn syrup again on hoodies, tank tops, and then I just never tabled again. So like that would be something I would put in skateboards. Like I've already got those. I never did anything with them. It was just such a random thing. Like I don't even know why. I was like obsessed with corn syrup. Just like
that was cool though. For anybody that hasn't seen it, his corn syrup capsule is a play on the Coca-Cola branding campaign. And so it's like a really cool take on that. And obviously, as you look into it, you'll get the context of it.
Yeah, I like the idea of like having shirts and stuff for when something does come up, like when we do like a pop-up shop or something. But for the most part, when it comes to like making something physical, it's usually like a zine or printing out, making the artwork, scanning the artwork, laying out the artwork, printing it, stapling it. Then you got a booklet, and it's like you can make a book with just all you need is a printer and a stapler. So that's kind of what I aspire to make, is usually more book kind of stuff. I don't really like making prints that much because I just feel like I always get stuck with like piles of prints, and it's like I don't want to store prints. I don't know why that it bothers me to have those laying around and not like shirts, which I also have laying around. But yeah, I just I've got those book projects in the works, and then I don't know if you ever saw the Dongo graphic novel.
Yeah.
But I've got like I want to get back to making things like that that are longer than what I could print and staple myself, because you need like a book like that's like 30 or 60 pages or whatever, so you can't really do that yourself. So I also like the idea of making something bigger and just outsourcing the printing, and then they just ship it to you and it's done and it's there and it's like perfectly bound.
Yeah.
So I've got a few projects that are in that realm that are not as far along, and also like just more a bit more complicated than the other books that I was planning on maybe getting done this year. But I still want to work on them, it's just more a matter of like chipping away at them little by little because they're kind of the scope is so much bigger. And Dongle, like it didn't have dialogue, and so like these have dialogue, so it's like automatically more complicated of a comic because there's words, and I'm not really a writer, so it just makes it more complicated. But they need the words where Dongle was made purposefully to not have words, but different projects just sort of require different approaches, I guess, because Dongle's so old now, and so when I look at that, I think you haven't been graphic novel for like forever.
Yeah,
So I'd like to do something in that vein as
that would
well.
be exciting.
Yeah, I'm excited to get back into comic books. I haven't really felt the urge for a while, and then it felt like that urge returned a bit, and I was like, I could probably chip away a bit at some of these.
I feel like I get like that with my comic book reading too. I
Yeah,
go through like ebbs and flows,
Big
and like
time.
times where it's like something new will come out, and I like really gravitate to it.
yeah,
And then after a couple months, I'm like burnt out, and I just like go back to books or go back to
Right.
something else. And it's like, but then I'll like get that urge again.
yeah. It's weird. I do the same thing, and I also I just whether I'm reading and completing books or not doesn't affect the rate of which I like am buying them all the time.
Yeah,
So I just end up
exactly.
piling up a backlog of books to read, and it's nice. Like I like that
It's exciting. Yeah, it's exciting to like look and be like, wow, I've got so much stuff
Right.
to explore.
Right.
And then
So
sometimes it's like, oh my god, I've got so much stuff.
yeah. I feel like I might be overdoing it sometimes, but at the same time, like you said, when it hits you that you do want to read through some stuff, you actually burn through quite a bit fast.
Yeah.
sometimes. So especially comics, because it's not like just a whole page of text every page. So
Our homie Keith in the chat said, when's the next time you think you're going to be doing something at Zoe's? That's for me. So we just did our first, we just threw an event there. So there's a spot in downtown Nashville called Zoe's Roast Beef and Subs.
nice.
It just took, I don't know if you remember where 7 Star was.
I don't actually know where anything is in Nashville,
So it's like-
even though I've been here quite a bit.
It's on Main Street,
Yeah.
but it's like the corner of Main Street and West Hollis.
Gotcha.
But it like took over a spot that had been there forever.
Mm.
And so when we were talking about Height earlier,
Yeah.
when Height hit me up and was like, hey, any chance you could get us a Nashville show?
Oh, cool.
I was like, oh man, I was like, honestly, like our venue that we were at the Nashville Garden for like almost 2 years, and then that place just like closed one day.
Oh yeah.
And so we had been without a venue for like over a year almost until we did the Giant Steps show at the Polish American Club.
Yeah.
Which was awesome, but it's not like a cost feasible thing that we could do all the time.
Right.
So I was like, oh man, I was like, I really don't know.
Yeah.
And I went and picked up food at this spot one night because they have wicked good super beefs
Nice.
if you're into that. And while I'm in there, I like noticed that there's a hallway, and then down on the other end, it's like there's like music and darts and pool tables and shit. And so I went home and I was like, you know, I wonder if we could do something there.
Yeah.
And I emailed the guy, and I was like, hey man, like I live in town.
Yeah.
You know, here's my rap sheet, blah blah blah. We got some friends from New York coming to town. Like we would love to do a show there. Like we have all of our own stuff. We just need a space.
Yeah.
And I just shot it out in the morning. And like within 30 minutes, dude, the guy wrote back and was like, hey man, we would love to have you here. This sounds so cool, blah, blah, blah.
That's cool.
And so we had the Wave Generator boys out there and just did like a kind of free donation thing.
Yeah.
And it was like a blast.
Nice.
Dude. Like everything worked out pretty well. The staff there was awesome. They were super into it. The regulars were into it. We had friends of ours show up. And so it was like a really fun experiment, and it became like a thing of like, oh, could we do this more often or not?
Right.
So to answer your question about when's the next time you're doing something in Nashua at Zoe's. We are, maybe we'll do something in April because we have a couple gigs lined up in April. The most important thing, though, if you want us to go back to Zoe's, is to let the people at Zoe's know how much you enjoyed our show when you were there. The more that we let them know how much of a good time that all the patrons had, the more likely they're going to want us back. So if you want to see us at Zoe's, drop them a line on Facebook or something and just let them know that you really enjoyed seeing Cody Pope and Byron G at Zoe's. You hope to see them again. Because we would love to come back there.
Yeah, go get a super beef.
Yeah, get a super beef, dude. Change your life. Promise you.
Yeah, it's tough to start afresh venue-wise because so much of getting noticed and pulling a crowd is you're doing it all the time. So if you haven't done that much in recently, then it's can be tough. But you got to start somewhere. So
yeah, seriously.
Dover's kind of the same way for venues too, as it's tough there, especially for
no more brick house.
No more brick house. Yeah. The sadder one is the Breakaway Cafe thing.
Dude, that was such a bummer. I never got to go to a show there.
Yeah, you would have loved the metal shows. They were really balling out on the metal shows there. It was so cool.
It looked awesome.
Yeah, but they're still booking those shows at different spots. They just can't do it there anymore, which is so cool because it's right in the middle of downtown.
Right.
But there's also the Auspicious Brew, which is in the One Washington Mill, and they have a really good venue there as well.
Okay.
That's where I saw it.
So I've been to that spot before.
Okay.
I didn't realize that was the same building you're in.
Yeah.
So that's cool. Okay.
Yeah.
I went. Why did I go there?
When
a Lunar Landing was playing.
Oh,
there
word.
Back before he had moved out
Right.
west.
Yeah, he's awesome.
Yeah, I love that guy.
Yeah, I'm surprised. I'm surprised I didn't. I thought I had seen. Maybe I wasn't at that one because I would have remembered if you would.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's a really good spot. I've seen Miles Blonde there, Jesse the Tree, Hike Quiche. Pre-pandemic, Hike Quiche played the One Washington Mill when we were in the Wrong Brain Space.
Yeah.
And he was doing the Wrap Round Robin.
Dude, we did that when I had my Pelham
so
residency. Cool. It was so much fun.
Yeah, that was a one-of-a-kind rap show.
Yeah, I told him when he was here, I was like, dude, people still talk about Wrap Round Robin to this day. I was like, really should find a way to do that again.
Yeah, nobody puts the crowd in the middle and raps at them.
Yeah.
That's so cool.
And that's the thing, and it's I would love to do something like that, and I'm sure other people have too.
Yeah.
But Height was the guy who brought that around to so many places that it's you just can't do it without him.
Just the way they did it was so they obviously had it all worked out.
Yeah.
But just the way that it bounced around so seamlessly was such a cool way to it felt like you're on a lazy Susan. You just
yeah, seriously, just running around in the microwave. Kevin said, "Isn't there a kombucha brewery that does shows?"
Yeah, that's the Auspicious Brew.
Auspicious Brew in Dover, and I think this place in Nashua does them too. I haven't been there yet, but the hell is it? Root Awakening. It's a kava bar. I don't know. I guess kava is not kombucha, but yeah. So the first place, Auspicious Brew, is in Dover. It's in the same building that SPIKEPIT Studios is in. Yeah,
the Auspicious Brew is very cool. They're always doing a weird indie show Thursdays, Fridays, Saturdays. So I usually see them doing something, and they full bar, brew the kombucha there. They do cocktails, food. They didn't do all that to start.
Yeah.
They just worked their way up to food and cocktails and beer. They didn't have beer at first.
That's really dope that they've grown so much in that.
Yeah, it's pretty thriving music scene that both in Dover and specifically there because I don't know if it's punk garage oriented town, and those are the big turnouts I've seen, or what? But there's definitely, like, for the kind of music I like, there seems to always be something happening. Either between Dover and Portsmouth, there's usually something interesting to catch. I saw the Cowboy Bebop live music thing is also, I think, in Portsmouth.
Oh, cool.
And I looked it up, and I think a lot of the tickets were gone, and tickets that were left were kind of pricey. And I was like, ugh.
I know.
But that would be incredible. Like,
Yeah, it sounds so fun.
yeah. I'm still haven't totally ruled it out yet, but yeah, love me some Cowboy Bebop.
Yeah. If anybody wants to sponsor Adam and I going to see the Cowboy Bebop Big Bounty Band,
Right.
please email codycentralshow@gmail.com.
Yeah.
And we will promote whatever bullshit you want us to sell, as long as we can go see Cowboy Bebop with a big band behind them.
Yeah. If we don't get in, then we'll just watch the movie at my studio on the projector.
I'm here for it.
Or,
I'm here for it. I can watch that movie 1,000 times, and you can read what I think about it by following me on Letterboxd.
nice. Yeah, I might have to look into Letterboxd.
It's fun, man. Like I'm not trying to keep jumping from fucking social media channel to
Right.
social media channel.
But that one's here to stay.
And it's its own thing.
Yeah.
All we do is fucking talk about movies.
Right.
So it's like,
And you're kind of like marking off what you've seen and stuff too, right? So
Yeah.
it helps you keep track. Because like I couldn't even think of the animated movie I saw before Flow. Like I saw something else that was really good, but if I was Letterboxd, I would just look and see, oh, there's that.
Yeah, now I've just like gotten into the habit of like, if I leave the theater or if I'm done watching something on
Yeah.
TV, I'll just go right in, put a little review in, write my thoughts on. Because it's like, even if nobody else reads it,
Yeah.
it's cool for me to look back
Right.
and be like, oh, this is what I thought about it. You can like say if it was your first time watching it or if you've seen it a bunch of times or whatever.
Right.
There's like lots of directors and like actors on there, and they'll make lists of like, you know, Quentin Tarantino will be like, oh, I'm working on Once Upon a Time in Hollywood, and these are the movies that I was like influenced by.
Interesting.
Just stuff like that that's like really cool.
Yeah.
Just like a different, because like I love movies, but like in our like creative realm or the hip hop network and all that, it's like I don't have a ton of like avid movie fans that I can like sit around and talk to.
Right.
You know, luckily I have a couple, but like that's why I was like, you know what, I'll do things like the Help Film Club podcast and Letterboxd and shit like that. And you know, it's like I can find people to talk about anime or old film noir, or, you know, stupid sci-fi or body horror or whatever. Like
the Substance was great.
I want to see. No, I'm definitely going to see that. I've like read nothing but remarkable reviews for that.
That was really good.
I just saw Nosferatu. Did you see that?
Really good. Yeah, I saw that. I tried to see day one.
Like
sold
Christmas
out.
Eve.
Sold out.
Damn.
Well, I was going to a late show and I didn't get my ticket, obviously.
Yeah.
But yeah, I saw it like a week later. Really good.
Damn, Kevin said Letterboxd is dope. I also became an AMC A-list member this year. $26 a month for 4 movies a week. Dude, that is pretty crazy.
Yeah.
I
just don't like Regal. I think it's Regal is the one I don't like. AMC is good.
Yeah. See, it's funny, like AMC, Regal, what's the other, Cinemark, they all like, Kevin just said the same thing. He's like, AMC isn't my first choice, but that's an incredible deal.
Yeah.
You're absolutely right. And that's my thought too, is like, I don't love the like chain theaters, but they do seem to be getting more like, how would I, like, oh, it's like, maybe it sounds presumptuous, but like almost like repertory screenings, where like the Cowboy Bebop movie.
Right.
I saw another one coming up real soon. Parasite, they just did.
Oh, nice. That's really good.
Parasite had a bunch of like 5-year anniversary screenings at AMC, and so I really do appreciate the fact that they're trying to do more than just like flood us with Warner Brothers and Universal's newest bullshit, Trolls World Tour or whatever.
Right. I really like the O'Neills and Epic. That's my go-to. I like that one.
But
I like the Barrington Barnsies is like the cheapest around. It's
Yeah.
like not the most high tech, but who cares?
It's like I love Coolidge Corner Theater. It's such a fun one to go to.
Yeah,
I love the Brattle Theater.
they do the best job of showing the retro shit.
Yeah. Coolidge has like some of the best curation
Yeah.
out of like anywhere.
Makes you want to move down there
I
because
know.
it seems like so far. But
See, I feel lucky from here to Coolidge is
Right.
like less than an hour,
that's good.
which is still a long time for
Yeah.
a movie, but it's like I would do that for a show, so why
Yeah.
not a movie?
Right.
You know? It's like
Yeah.
the movie's just not going to be 4 hours of openers rapping over their lyrics.
Yeah, I think the last time I made it down to one of the things like that they were showing was Evil Dead 2.
my man, Steve the Evolutionist, said Coolidge is the joint, and then followed it by Coolidge High got you wide.
Nice.
Kevin said Methuen AMC has more indie art house prestige and repertoire shit, and it's only a 30-minute drive. That's where I was.
They get the limited releases.
Yeah, that's where Parasite was screening.
Nice.
Was there.
I
Damn,
see a
rest
lot-
in peace to the Luna Theater in Lowell,
Oh, yeah,
dude.
big
So
time.
true, man.
That's very
I wanted to go one more time. Friggin', that's heartbreaking.
Yeah, that place was one of a kind. I mean, the whole mill in general was one of a
Yeah.
kind. But that theater was like such
Man.
a gem.
Rest in peace to David Lynch. The last time I was at the Luna was when the new Twin Peaks revival
Yeah.
was starting on Showtime,
Mhm.
and Luna held an event where they played Fire Walk with Me first,
Nice.
and then followed it with the first 2 episodes of the new Showtime
Very
show.
cool.
And it was like one of the coolest events that I've been to.
That was very cool.
Yeah, I
I
feel
just,
so lucky I got to be there.
Rewatched the Firewalk with Me because I didn't remember, like, it had been a while, so I rewatched that. But yeah, that was super dope. Talking about the Methuen AMC reminded me the last thing I saw there was in the vein of like Parasite re-release thing was also anime related. The Metropolis. Have you ever seen that?
Yeah.
They that was making its rounds, so we made the trek down there with my friend Emma, who we were going to the figure drawing with before, and Ari. And I've seen that one like probably 50 times,
Yeah.
but big screen, that was worth it.
So yeah, that's one I would love to see that on a big screen, because I remember I saw that when I was younger, and that was like a blind rental
Yeah,
where I was at like Video Mat or Blockbuster or something, and that cover art is just like too crazy to not watch it.
Like, so are we talking Metropolis anime and not Metropolis
Not-
black and white?
Not Fritz Lang,
Right,
and
right.
although that one is pretty crazy too, but I don't have nearly as much experience with that as I do the anime one.
Same.
The cover for the anime one is just like I can just picture like the big gold thing on the top, and there's like this big blue sky behind it. Like,
Yeah, I was the first thing that comes to mind for that movie is always the music. I was like, as soon as they were like, "Oh, we're gonna go see that," do you want? It's like, yeah, I want to hear that music too, like loud as speakers possible.
right? That's how I felt about Cowboy Bebop. Like any chance to hear this music in 18 million surrounds,
Right.
I'm there for it.
I guess both those are jazzy,
Yeah.
so they're funky soundtracks, which elevates them in my opinion for sure. But yeah, that's a good one. I've got it on DVD, but I was like, yeah, I'll go to see that.
Yeah. That's how I felt. Yeah. I have 2 copies of Cowboy Bebop on DVD, just from like, I think one of them was from when a Blockbuster closed, and then the other one was like, I saw it at like a flea market or something.
Nice.
And it was just one of those, like, I don't remember if I have this. I better
Just in
buy it.
case.
Like,
Just in case.
yeah.
Yeah, that's a super solid movie, and I would pretty much like do anything for them to just make one more movie, since it's just like a extra long episode.
Yeah.
So to get an extra episode of Cowboy Bebop at some point would be crazy.
And I like wouldn't have. There's a period of my life where I wouldn't have wanted that, but since they were so willing to come out and do this like sloppy live action thing a
Oh,
few
yeah.
years back.
Right.
I kind of feel like we're like owed some redemption now.
Yeah,
Where
you're
it's
right.
like you guys put all this energy into this live action shit when I don't know if you remember, but like I can vividly remember I was in like 7th grade and and mind you, like the internet was a lot smaller. There was just
Right.
like forums and shit like that.
Yeah.
But I would go on like different anime forums or whatever, and like I would trade VHS tapes with people at
Nice.
school. And there was a rumor that started showing up on the forums that they were going to make a live action Cowboy Bebop movie in the 2000s
Right.
with Bruce Lee as Jet, Keanu Reeves as Spike, and Angelina Jolie as Faye.
That's
And like,
horrible.
but dude, tell me they don't look so much like those people.
I don't like the Angelina Jolie thing.
Really? If you think of her when she did Tomb Raider in the 2000s, that was like almost the same kind of stylization, you know?
I mean, it could work, but that doesn't strike me as. I feel like I didn't like the show live action at all. But at least they all look the part, with the exception of Jet, because nobody can really look that big. He didn't look big enough.
See, I thought Spike was weird. Maybe it's just because I know the actor from too many other things. But it was like Spike has this like intrinsic like coolness about him.
Yeah.
And it was just like, bro, Harold, you're not that cool. Like you're struggling at this.
Yeah.
And I wanted it to go well. I wanted to like it so much, even if people didn't.
Yeah.
And it was just like not that enjoyable of an experience.
No, I had to give him that.
Yeah,
and it was tough because it's not like they didn't try.
Exactly. It's like the franchise like means so much to so many people. Right. It's like I really hate to say this, but
yeah, you just can't replicate the magic of the 2D animation of that show. Like the beginning of the movie is the convenience store, right? When is he walking on like that's so good.
Like trying to hold up that store.
It's so good. Like you do that live action, and it's just not the same.
Yeah, that's the thing. There's like a level of like fight choreography that is so beautiful in the show that it's like a weird balance between like trying to do showing you what the realistic effects would be of the choreography. But still using like a more stylistic art style because of your character's dimensions and shit like that.
They definitely they pull up both for sure with the animation because that fight scene that Spike has with the girl with the mop and the when he like breaks into that facility.
Yes, dude.
It's like it's such a
he's
short,
like mopping the wall at first.
It's such a short fight, but it's just so good.
It's just like fantastic the way that because it's like I feel like people underestimate like they had to plan out like every motion in that fight and like how many frames was that fight of like getting all those angles and kicks and all that exactly right. It's like that's why like watching it on the theater was just so mind blowing because it was like, dude, this movie is like 24 years old and looks better than some shit that I see now.
That was the other thing that surprised me about Metropolis rewatching it since it had been a while. That was my one gripe with it was like, oh man, like this was from a time when they were integrating CG in with the 2D and it stood out because it didn't mix that good.
Yeah.
Which never bothered me in that movie because I just liked it so much. But I was like rewatching it, I was like, oh, is this gonna look bad? And I was surprised how good it looks. Like they actually integrated it pretty amazingly since it's so old now. But there's tons of like moving parts at the end where the building's like breaking apart and it's all everything architectural is CG with the 2D animation like on top, and it actually like I was pretty impressed for how old that was, how well it stood up because a lot of times the CG just sticks out like a sore thumb when you mix it with 2D.
Yeah, I think a lot of that comes with the fact that like that period of time we weren't dependent on CG yet. We were looking to see how we could use it.
Right.
It's almost like and not to go backwards, but it's like almost like how what AI should have been like, where it's like we shouldn't have artists that are dependent on using AI.
Yeah.
They should have figured out how to implement AI into pre-existing like art shit, you know. But it's like so bad because it's like CG got so rough in the 2000s.
Yeah.
Or, like there's so many examples of it looking so bad.
Right.
And that's like being dependent on it. It's like why would you write a feature that's dependent on a technology that isn't where it needs to be today?
But it also feels like when studios that aren't from the United States implement special effects, it's like interesting to me to see like how they do it and stuff, because say like Kung Fu Hustle, like the Stephen Chow movies, like they use CG, but like what they use it for is just not what you would see typically here for an action movie. Like just the ideas they get are more creative, or something about the way that they like frame it in a way that like it just works, like the way that they approach it in a different Shaolin soccer.
Dude, I was just gonna ask you about that.
There's so much CG.
You literally just read my mind, dude. That's so crazy. Because that was like one of those movies we used to get hype about.
Right.
In like, because it wasn't, you couldn't like go and just get a copy of it. You had to like find it online or something.
And that's one where if you have the DVD and you watch the English dub, they like cut out actual movie for that. But if you put it on the Japanese track, it's like it's an extended cut basically. If you watch the Japanese one, and the dubbing is bad actually, because that's so old and like Stephen Chow wasn't really famous yet, so they didn't give care to the dubbing, and it showed. But yeah, they went crazy with the CG in that movie, and it was amazing.
Yeah,
because
it
like,
worked
fully over the top, and just the way, like just having the soccer ball be CG, it didn't have to be. It didn't have to fool you to make you think it was real. It just like it was kind of a slapstick movie, so it just worked really well for that. But all his movies like are pretty incredible.
For real.
I'm kind of like, I feel like I haven't heard anything from him in a while, so I wonder if he's got new.
I know, I wonder that too. Did you have a Chunky's theater near you?
Just in the way that the Massachusetts one wasn't that far away.
Yeah.
But I don't really like the idea of eating food at the movies.
Interesting.
So whenever I was at Chunky's, I don't think I was even eating food. I think it was probably just watching the movie.
Dude, we used to have, because somebody in the chat was like, Chunky's movie theater was awesome.
Yeah.
I loved Chunky's because they had way cheaper admission than like any other movie theater.
Yeah.
The seats were so comfortable. Right. I did love having that table, even if I did like to eat because I'm a fat asshole. But even if I went to like, cause they used to do the UFC fights there, you could watch too and shit like that. And so sometimes just going, it's like, man, sometimes you don't even need food. You just need 2 of those car chairs to put your feet up, and it's like you're just there for a good time, man. And like, and honestly, and I could be wrong because we didn't have one in New England for a while, but I feel like Chunky's was kind of ahead of the curve on like the dining movie thing compared to like Alamo Draft House and stuff like that. And even like AMC now has like a bar and like more like prepared food kind of shit. Yeah. But Chunky's was like the first one really on that whole like dining experience. And that's what made the admission so cheap, is that they hoped you bought food, and if you didn't, whatever.
Yeah. Yeah, my family is from like Haverhill, Lowell, Merrimack area originally. So, and I still have family over there. So it's not out of the ordinary for me to be in that area. And that's pretty close to Methuen.
Yeah. So
it's handy for when I want to catch a movie down there, for sure.
All right. You guys fucking million movie theater. I didn't know this was going to turn into Hellhound Film Club tonight, guys.
Yeah. Yeah.
I'm glad though.
I'm just not surprised. But yeah, I started watching David Lynch things that I hadn't seen because I thought I'd probably seen most of it, but
Yeah.
I hadn't seen Dune. I couldn't remember Firewalk with Me that much, so I started rewatching that. And Inland Empire.
I was just going to ask
seen.
if you watched
That was
one.
the one I hadn't seen.
That is like the craziest one I think of.
It went over my head. Like
Yeah.
I didn't like give it a full. Like I need to give it still another try because I like Laura Dern a lot.
Yeah.
But that movie was just losing me, and it felt too long. And I kind of know the history of that being like his first. I think it's.
I was just going to say it is weird that it's a digital feature too.
So it was like
definitely looks different.
It looks different. It just super long.
It almost like it feels like it tries to exhaust you.
Yeah, I'm sure that's part of it too. Like
Yeah.
it's always he's challenging you no matter what you're watching. But yeah, all this other stuff I'd probably seen a million times, except for Elephant Man, which I saw for the first time like right at the end of like last year, at the end of last year.
Oh yeah.
But yeah, I'm keeping an eye out on those Criterion flash sales still. I saw
Yeah.
they were just doing a
Right now is
4K.
yeah, 30% off 4K is.
Like I might look at some of those, but no, probably not this time.
I'm trying to think. I know there's definitely going to be some Barnes and Nobles 50%
Yeah.
off sales, and there'll definitely be some flash sales.
Yeah.
But I know every July and November you can like count on the Barnes and Nobles 50% off sale, like with every year.
Nice.
But there'll definitely be something before that too.
Yeah, because that's what I'm gonna have to watch out for because I definitely got the best deal doing that.
Yeah.
I went there. I got Repo Man.
I love that one.
Elephant Man, Demon Pond, and Onibaba.
Oh, dude, I haven't seen that, but that's been on my list for a long time.
The last two were, they're like Japanese, like, I don't know if they're 60s, they're pretty old.
Yeah.
Those were both like really good. The Onibaba one, I was not expecting. I didn't really know what to expect.
Yeah.
It wasn't what I expected in a good way. And Demon Pond, I think you would like too.
Yeah. I'll definitely. I love, man, like a lot of the Japanese movies, especially in the Criterion collection, but in general, man, like Japanese cinema is just so interesting.
Yeah.
And I've been like trying to like study film history while I like get into all these movies, so I like have a better like context for it. But I truly don't know enough about Japanese cinema yet, other than just like how cool the movies are. Because it's like even going back to like the 50s and 60s, Japanese noir is like some of the coolest shit.
Right.
There's a movie called Black Sun that I watch all the time. It's like one of my favorite movies. It's like this like weird like late 60s little crime thriller about a Japanese guy and a black guy, and the black guy is like being chased by the police for a crime, and so he like finds this Japanese guy's like house, and he like asks him if he can stay there, and they're trying to like get over the language barrier because the black guy speaks English. And when he goes into this Japanese guy's house, his house is covered in jazz posters like Miles Davis, John Coltrane, Art Blakey. And so the Japanese guy gets all excited that there's a black guy in his house because he's just had all these posters of like famous black musicians. And so they start using like the jazz records and stuff to try and communicate and figure out how to like protect this guy from the police thing. It's just like such a fun story. But it's just like between anime and like film noir and like, you know, then you look at like Akira Kurosawa, you know, you could just go down that rabbit hole for decades between Seven Samurai and Rashomon, and like you could see how these movies like impacted the movies that we like grew up with. You know, it's like I love telling people all the time, it's like, oh, if you love Kill Bill, you should go see Lady Snowblood. And like your mind will be blown. Like
I feel like I'm so knowledgeable about it, but then when you like take away Akira Kurosawa and you take away John Woo, I actually don't know anything.
Exactly.
I just know
you start like struggling
the hits, but I do like the hits. And Korean horror and Korean cinema, like I mean Parasite, obviously. really good
Yeah.
horror.
Korean cinema is like really dope, but Parasite definitely like put it on the map for
Right.
sure.
Yeah. Yeah, I think that's the same director as The Host.
Is Bong Joon-ho.
Yeah. Because I was watching Host, like that's an annual Halloween rewatch has been for a while. So I follow that director for sure.
Yeah.
That's
He has another dope one called Memories of Murder.
I have not seen that.
That one is in the Criterion as well. And he has a new one coming out. I think it's next year now. It's called Mickey 17.
Oh, I've seen the trailer
with
for
Robert
that.
Pattinson.
Yeah, that looks good.
He's been working on that for like years.
Yeah.
It's wild how long it's taken them to make it. Like inexplicably long time. But like now they're finally getting trailers out.
Yeah,
and shit
that
like
looks
that.
intriguing.
So it's like, man, whatever time it took was like clearly worth it.
Right. I don't even actually like. I was puzzled by the trailer, but I didn't want it to be answered. Like I want to find out, but
Yeah.
I don't want it spoiled.
It like gives you questions you're excited about answering down the line.
Yeah, no, that was awesome. Yeah, always watching movies, always putting on something, even if it's just bedtime.
Same. I have like a pile of movies that I like set up every week. And it's like that's why I like doing the film club podcast, because it kind of holds me accountable to like going through my collection.
Yeah.
Like set up a long schedule of like certain directors who I like know their birthday. It's like, all right, if it lands on this day, like let's just do a whole thing about them.
Nice.
Like sometimes it'll just be like a certain movie or a genre.
Right.
It's like I don't do them live stream.
Yeah.
Because I just didn't want to like play out everything I do being a fucking live stream.
Yeah.
But I'm hoping that as I do them, I put them on Patreon first. And so they sit on Patreon for like a week before they go on YouTube.
Yeah.
And so the goal is that like we can use Patreon to kind of like have more conversations about these movies and like shit to talk about. Cause that's really why I do it. You know, it's like I just want to like this is the shit I live for. It's just talking about movies and anime and like music and all that kind of shit. And so it's like that's my biggest thing for doing any of this stuff.
Yeah, I'm glad you guys are set up to do so. You have a really cool setup going on.
Thank you, man. It's cool because honestly, with the film club show, I do it at home mostly because.
Was that where I saw the DVD shelves?
Yeah.
Okay. Cool.
And working at Harley, like a couple of years back.
Yeah.
That's when I got into learning how to edit video.
Oh, nice.
And so that really like changed so much shit for me.
Yeah.
We used to do Hellhound Film Club like before the pandemic, and it was like audio only, and so it just never really like took off.
Yeah.
And I had no concept of like doing any sort of visual shit. And now like ever since I like had to learn how to edit video for Harley, now I'm like fucking Orson Welles, just trying to like go out and be like, what can we film for YouTube? What can I make?
Right.
Like,
well, you're doing a good job editing, so everything looks super slick.
That's sick, man. Thank you. I appreciate that.
Yeah.
Dude, I have eaten up so much of your time tonight. I am so thankful for you coming down here to hang out with me. I know as artists, it's always tough to tell people a direction or give people advice because so many of us kind of lead these polarizing lives where we like carve out a path for ourselves. And obviously that's like the biggest part of sustaining yourself as an artist. But is there any like, whether it's through art or your life experiences or just anything you've seen recently, is there any sort of like closing thought that you would want to leave people with that you feel like kind of is like a summary of your like feelings on where you're at right now, if that makes sense?
I mean, I always just kind of, whether I'm feeling like I'm being productive on the things that I should be or not, just feel like being a fan of something is what kind of like gets me through droughts where I'm not feeling super good about my own output. just even if they're not somebody you know necessarily, but just like being a fan of bands and following who's like coming through your town and trying to keep up with like somebody's release, whether it's music or if it's like comics or whatever. Like I've got like a full plate, like we were saying, backlog of books, movies to watch. Like it just it's like, yeah, you're getting distracted away from maybe your own stuff, but it's also like an inspiration to get moving towards getting somewhere with your own stuff. You can't just be all cylinders firing like all the time. So
yeah, you need some fuel.
it helps to check out other people's creative endeavors and like just be a fan of what other people are doing is what I find helpful, because I'm not always feeling like I'm doing what I should be doing or like working on what I should be working on, but also to just remember that progress on like anything is still progress towards something. Because I've got all my big projects, I'm like, oh, I'm not working on those, but like what I've done, you know, freelance gig posters here and there, and like you just don't think about that or give yourself credit for that necessarily when you should, because it's something, and it all just kind of could help build towards a bigger project that might seem a little bit overwhelming to start, but maybe just chipping away at it is something.
I love that. That's super important too. We get so many, like, whether it's visual artists or photographers or musicians or writers, poets, or whatever the case is, and I feel like that really applies to so many of these like creative endeavors that people are involved with. So it's like really important, and it's cool to hear that from somebody who's like done so much with just like bringing ideas to life. You know, that's like the biggest part of what you do as an artist is like taking something from conception and making it reality, and not everybody has the ability to like do that so effectively. So it's like to hear that you like struggle time to time, but also just like figuring out ways to kind of break that spell is just like super important. And hopefully that's like super helpful to all of you guys out there.
And sometimes it seems like just like not breaking the spell is fine too. Like sometimes just dwell in your
let it happen.
Not doing shit, feel like shit, just, you know, maybe just sit with that for a while, because I definitely do that as well. But what helps me is like going out to a show or seeing somebody play Gus's projects for sure is helpful. And just a Seacoast is, there's no shortage of, you know, people doing interesting things, whether it's audio or visual. You know, there's a lot going on, and as I'm sure there's in Nashville.
Yeah, it's special up there in the Seacoast, that's for sure. Though it's definitely like its own community up there. Another like hoping to maybe do like an open studio where like besides the figure drawing, where it's you could just bring the project you're working on and doing like a set day, whether it's like monthly or something, would be cool too, because I just like seeing what people are looking. So I feel that is really cool.
Yeah, so hopefully maybe that will be a thing to do this year too, if we can get it going. Just a bring your own project kind of session could be cool, just to mingle, check out other people's happenings.
That is really dope. If you guys like everything that we talked about tonight, if you guys want to take the opportunity to see more of Adam's work, if you want to learn more about the live model figure drawing sessions, if you want to go through the archive and see some of the projects that he's been involved with over the years, please, please, please check out the banner that is scrolling. Follow Spike Pit Studios on Instagram at Spike Pit Studios. The digital landscape is always changing, so there may be a website, an email list, a new way of communicating, but the best way to keep up with everything right now is by following on Instagram. So make sure that you are tuned into that for sure. Oh shit, my boy Ryan said, sorry I'm late, but I'm in here repping Gate City. Appreciate you, bro. A lot to take in on this one tonight, so it'll definitely be worth going back and listening to. Huge thank you to my man Adam here. We didn't get to go over it too much, but if you guys look in the corner on his screen and you see the infamous Hellhound Book and Flame logo, Adam actually created that, as well as doing the Howling Man and so many other things. So I just didn't want to make the show about me, but I'm super grateful for all the stuff that he has contributed to the Hellhound Publishing universe and our brand identity and everything. And the friggin' Book and Flame, as you guys know, has been a big part of these last few years. And so it turned from a little idea into my head into something that he brought into life. So make sure you guys go.
Getting good mileage out of it, I see.
Oh, yeah.
Nice.
Yeah, that thing has been running around the planet with us, without a doubt. Man, thank you so much, dude, for being here. This was awesome. Make sure you guys follow the banner one more time, Spike Pit Studios on Instagram. This has been an awesome show tonight, guys. Thank you so much for tuning in. Thank you once again to my guest, Adam from Spike Pit Studios. What an amazing conversation. We got so much juice out of this tonight. Hopefully you guys got a lot out of this too. Please, please, please go check out at Spike Pit Studios as soon as you guys are done here tonight with us. As we mentioned, thank you so many of you guys coming in from YouTube tonight. Thank you to our Facebook audience as well. If you're on Facebook, please consider joining us on YouTube. We're trying to hit a bunch of benchmarks on YouTube. So there's a certain amount of watch time, certain amount of subscribers, all this kind of stuff. And when we hit those benchmarks, we're able to expand more opportunities with the channel and do more direct live streams and give you guys updated. There's all sorts of cool stuff that we can do. So please consider heading over to YouTube and throwing us a little like there real quick. And here's a little more about the YouTube channel before we head out. Like I said, there's all sorts of, oh, awesome. Thank you. Ryan said, just followed. I'll be rewatching this tonight. Appreciate that, man. I'm excited to know what you think of it. This was a really cool one. You will definitely appreciate this conversation. There's lots of anime talk in our show tonight. So you'll have to leave us some comments and let us know what you think after you get to watch it. Man, everybody, you guys rule. Thank you so much. As always, please run up giant steps in Gate City wherever you listen to music. If you support physical media, you can still order CDs from hellhoundpublishing.com, and I will ship them out to you within 3 days or so. And that's pretty much it. No shows until April for Cody and Byron, so we're going to be really focusing on the podcast as well as a new EP that we're working on. For those of you guys that have been following the EP train, we did Pound of Flesh, we did Renaissance Park, and we're finally ready to close out that trilogy with the long-awaited He Who Smells of Sunflowers. So we will give you guys more updates on all that stuff. I've got a bunch of awesome guests lined up for the next few weeks. We're going to have a surprise guest next week. We're going to have Des the Baker the week after that. We're going to have Price of Fear next month in March, Graphic Melee, all sorts of awesome guests. So thank you guys for making this one so great tonight. Make sure you guys hit us up on YouTube. And also, I should mention that we kind of dropped it in the show a little bit tonight. We just brought back Hellhound Film Club. We put the first 2 episodes are now available on YouTube. all new episodes are going to be airing first on our Patreon. So if you want to be a part of that, Patreon is a huge way to support us. You can join for as little as $1 a month. Patreon.com/Hellhound Publishing. We've been on there since 2018, so you've already got years of old content, podcasts, pre-release music streams, behind-the-scenes videos, interviews, all sorts of stuff. Now you're going to get podcast premieres. You're going to get ad-free podcast episodes. You're still going to get all of the pre-release music streams for new records from Hellhound Publishing. We're still going to mail out sticker packs and gift packs every so often. So we would love it for you to join us over there, and you can catch some of the premieres of shows that don't premiere right on YouTube like Cody Central does. And with that said, you guys are awesome. I love you all. I'll see you next week, Monday at 8 p.m. Thank you so much for the support. Hellhound till we underground. Preach. Cody here. Thank you so much for tuning in to another episode of Cody Central. If you'd like to support the show and help me keep this thing afloat, please check out some of the options below. Thank you so much for supporting, and as always, subscribe, like, and comment.
Okay.